Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Next Big Thing. It gives me great pleasure to introduce our guest today, and she's officially the first guest on this show from Florida. Please welcome pianist, published author, advocate for human rights and liberties, highly acclaimed, accomplished, Grammy balloted artist, all the way from Florida. Joining us is Mary Dawood Catlin. Mary, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi, thank you so much. My God, that's quite the introduction. I'm doing very well, thank you. And you?
Yes, thank you. It's a well-deserved, introduction. It's your story, and yes, that's great.
Very
No, I'm
excited.
good. Thank you. I have a lot of friends in Florida, and from school, like they've gone all over the place. So I studied in India, and then I moved to New Zealand, and then to Australia.
Fantastic.
But they're friends in Florida. I've got to come. Hopefully, I'll come one day.
Hopefully one day.
Excellent.
We'll have to get together. We'll have to get together in St. Augustine.
Yeah, let's do that. So I'm really excited. Thank you for making the time. I really appreciate it. I believe it's nighttime in Florida. So,
yep.
I don't know if you're a night owl or a early to bed kind of person.
Oh yeah, night owl.
Night owl. Okay, so then I won't apologize. Yeah. So then it's okay. Then we can go on for a while.
Exactly.
Okay.
And thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This is my very first podcast ever in my entire life.
So, 100 podcasts later, I hope you look back to this moment and go, my first one was with Sriram or Saya.
I absolutely will.
Thank you. All right. So as you know, a guest come on the podcast and they share their very inspiring, exciting journey. Your music, your story is what we want to share on this podcast, and hope that's a nice word, and hope to inspire listeners to express themselves creatively and become the next big thing, maybe, but so that's the idea behind the show. So thank you for being part of this. And as you know, our tradition is that guest comes on to the show and shares a couple of statements, about themselves. And one is factual and one is fiction. One is a fib. So I don't know how good you're at fibbing, and I don't know how good you're at poker, but we'll find out. And so are you ready? You got two things?
I am ready. Okay, so one fact, one fib. Okay, number one, and so you're gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah. Just say one and two, and I'll then.
Okay. Number one, I participated in the running of the bulls in Pamplona, Spain.
Wow.
And number two, this is completely unrelated to music. Okay.
That's okay. That's fine.
Number two, I tried out for the varsity boys football team when I was in high school. Which one is fact and which one is fib?
Oh my God, they're so outlandish, both of them. As in, that's just not what I expected. Okay, so one is you ran with the bulls in Spain at the Tomatino Festival. Is that the one?
Pamplona, Spain.
Okay, right. Okay, you ran with the bulls. Yeah. Wow, ooh, I'm just trying to visualize this. And you participated in a boys varsity.
I tried out in the boys American football boys varsity team when I was in high school.
Wow. So American football teams, you tried out. So you're not saying you got in, but you were there at the trials. Okay. I don't know why. There's no rationale for this. Okay. So it's pure instinct. I think you tried out for the boys.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah. Is that correct?
That's it. Yeah. And actually, it was crazy. I was 17 years old and I was very, very athletic, very sporty. I played rugby back in high school. Yeah. Wow. And I wanted that challenge. I wanted to try, I wanted to try it for the American football team. So the coaches were wondering what position I could try out for. And they're like, okay, well, they said, maybe try out for a running back because I used to run very quickly. I was a good sprinter.
Wow.
And so, and I played one play in an exhibition game and I got killed. Oh my goodness, I got massacred. But I did play one play and one exhibition game that
Wow.
time.
And how many can claim that, right? I mean, that is fantastic. I mean, even if
Yeah,
someone's thought of that to actually, go that far, wow, that's amazing. So are you still, playing sports? Are you still athletic? Are you still a quick sprinter?
So I take dance classes. I'm not a quick sprinter anymore, that's for sure.
Sure.
Don't do contact sports anymore since high school, because I just didn't
Sure.
want to
Sure.
injure myself. I didn't want to injure my arms, my hands,
Of course.
since
Of course.
yeah. And so, but I do take dance lessons, so
Yeah.
just to keep in shape. Yeah.
I'm sure the footwork will be really immaculate, huh?
I'm sorry?
The footwork will be really, you'll be switched on, right?
Yeah, just fun classes at the gym. It's nothing. just
So good.
just to keep.
So inspiring.
Yeah.
Reminds me to go out and do something today. Okay, I spend far too much time in this room, I'll tell you that. So anyway, but that's good. Okay, and Spain and the Bulls, have you gotten close or
No,
not?
no. No.
Is that even on your bucket list or whatever it is?
No, it's not. No. I don't know that. I think that's one of the most dangerous things anybody could do in the entire world. So yeah, and it's I can't even imagine
I've seen
participating
footage.
in that.
I've seen footage, and watching it from the safety of my room feels scary. So it's like,
exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Great, great, good to see. And obviously, you're someone who takes initiative. Maybe not so much to run with the Bulls, but I can see that you take a lot of initiative. So tell us about. Can I ask about how the music journey started? Is that okay to go back to the start?
Yeah, I go back to the start. So I was always very from the time I was a baby, from the time I was a child, I was always very drawn to the piano. Oh. And when I was extremely sensitive, like the musical language was a language that that was in me, it was in my soul. And one of my very, very first memories, I must have been, I must still have been in diapers, because like I'm telling you, one of my very, very first memories was when my mom was had turned on the record player. She put a record, and a sad song was playing on the record player, and I was listening to the song, and I started crying and crying and crying and crying because it's just, the song was speaking to me. And I've always been very emotionally connected to music. Wow. And to the piano. Yeah. So, wow. And I'm telling you, that was my very first memories. I must have been maybe, I guess, 2 years old, something like that, 2.5.
Wow. Fantastic. Yeah. I've heard people starting as early as 5, and potentially, I've read 4, but 2.5. That's fantastic.
Remember, it was so like it's burned in my memory.
Fantastic. Yeah. You and the piano, huh? Made for each other. Huh? Very nice. And so obviously I'm guessing you have one at home, like, surely, right?
Yes.
So tell us about that. When did you first acquire that? And
oh my goodness. So my piano, it's a grand piano. It's a Bösendorfer, and I'm a Bösendorfer artist. I have this.
Oh yeah.
There are a few Bösendorfer artists out there, and I'm a Bösendorfer artist where there's kind of like partnership with the Bösendorfer brand. Okay. And that was in the early 2000s. It was that this piano is something else. Yeah. This piano is but before getting the Bösendorfer, I practiced on an upright Baldwin.
Right.
On an upright. So yeah, that was the Baldwin was my very first piano. Fantastic. And it was actually technically to say the technical thing, it was my sister's piano.
Oh, sisters into music as well?
She used to play the piano. Yeah. She used to play the piano before.
Fantastic. Yeah. So how many siblings in the family?
4. 3. I have 3 siblings. We're 4 children.
Yeah. All girls or boys or?
2 boys, 2 girls. Yeah.
Okay, 2 each, huh? 2 all. Okay.
There you go.
And
The parents knew what they were doing.
That's it. That's it. Any and other members of the family into music? They have siblings?
No, so it was just basically my sister was taking piano lessons.
Yeah.
And then, I followed her first footsteps when I was, a child, little girl. She'd sit with me at the piano, and
Yeah.
she'd put my hands on her hands while she was playing the piano, and so yeah,
Fantastic.
that was my first, I guess, contact with the piano.
Yeah.
And then after that, she taught me a few tunes at the piano, a few songs, and then after that, I started piano lessons.
So nice, and the rest is history, as they say. Huh?
There you go. There you go.
So I'm very fascinated, and this is also not musical, but I'm fascinated with siblings, and I'm an only child. And whilst interestingly, even though I'm fascinated with siblings, I never grew up craving a sibling. It was just, what would it be like? It was always like that. And I have been I go all warm, fuzzy in my heart when I see siblings that are close to each other, siblings that are tight. I mean, there's a lot of sibling rivalry and there's a lot of sibling friction. That's also there. But when I see sibling love, it just makes my day. And it fascinated me so much. And I shared with you before we got on that I also am a published novelist. And my very first novel is about sibling love, and it's about how far a sibling is willing to go for another. So that's why I like, I like knowing about siblings. And
absolutely, and it's always it's the great unknown, right? I mean, it's people with siblings wonder what it's like to be an only child, and only children will always wonder what it's like to be, to be a part of, to be a sibling, to be a part of I guess a pack of children.
Sure.
So it's just the great unknown.
Indeed, great unknown. Good one. Well said. Well said. Okay. So as you know, we came in touch because I had the wonderful privilege and opportunity to be inducted into the Recording Academy as a voting.
And congratulations, my goodness.
Thank you.
So amazing.
Thank you. I know it's been a couple of months now, but I'm still very excited about it.
Oh yeah.
And so thank you so much. And then I reached out because I realized I'm in Melbourne, Australia, and I think only know 2 other musicians who are with the Academy. Maybe there are more, but I don't know where they are. And obviously, I'm not talking about the AC/DCs of the world. Yeah, so I'm like, hey, I need to know people. I need to meet people. This is cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I reached out to you, and you were very kind and very sweet in sort of being in touch.
Thank you.
But tell us about your experience with the Academy, how long you've been. I believe you were invited to attend the Grammys. What is it like being there? What is it like being at the Grammys?
Oh, it's out of this world. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, I've been a member since 2017, and it's just being a part of this community of amazing artists and musicians, and just being a part of that community is something that I will never ever take for granted. And I know that you weren't either, that you're not going to take for granted either, because it's just it is an incredible thing to be a part of. And yeah, so the first time I went to the Grammy Awards was in 2019. So yeah, 2019, I went with my husband, who back then was my fiance. And it was just, it was magical. It was completely magical.
Yeah.
It's a very intense day, because there's it's intense. I mean, you're awake at 5, 6 a.m., you're getting ready, and then you're going to gatherings. In fact, there's I diverge a little bit. There's
go for it.
There's a collaborative called the Indie Collaborative, and it's what it sounds like. It's a collaborative for independent musicians, and it's headed by Eileen Sherman and Grant Malloy Smith.
Oh,
and the same year,
Grant was on the show. I spoke. Grant is going to be. It's going to come up in about a couple of weeks.
Fantastic. So you can join the Indie Collaborative, because through the Indie Collaborative, you can meet a lot of musicians that are also part of a part of the Recording Academy and a part of other organizations. So that's definitely something that I recommend, is for you to join the Indie Collaborative.
Oh, I'd love to.
I'll send you the link afterwards.
Please do. Yes.
So the same year that I became a voting member of the Recording Academy, I joined the Indie Collaborative, and was actually recommended, or somebody else that's in the Indie Collaborative recommended me to that association. And so it's incredible. It's a collaborative of musicians that just connect, work with each other, help each other. It's a great thing to be a part of. And so the reason why I'm talking about that is because before the premiere ceremony on Grammy Day, every year there's the Indie Collaborative meet and greet. And so that happens, I think, at like 10 a.m.
on the day.
On the day of, So it's go. It's very intense. So you have the Indie Collaborative meet and greet, a few other meet and greets, and then there's the premiere ceremony that starts at, I think, 12 or 12:30, and then that goes into the afternoon, and then at about 5 or 5:30 is the telecast, the televised Grammy Awards, and then that goes to, I guess 8:30, 9 p.m., something like that. And then after that, there's the after party. And then after the after party, there's the after parties. And
that's a thing?
It's out of this world.
After party?
Oh yeah, like people will host their own parties. People from the independents, the mega stars, they'll hold their own parties after the official after party. It's incredible. And you're just going, you're on a, like, this I don't know how to describe it. It's just you're it's incredible. You have to be there to believe it. And you're going to be, as a voting member, you're going to be invited every year.
Oh, okay, right, fantastic. All right, I need to book my ticket now. Fantastic. No, that's really cool. And hopefully things pan out well, and we'll cross paths in LA, and we'll meet in person.
Absolutely.
Yes,
absolutely.
Okay, so since we talked about the Grammys, and thank you for painting a vivid picture of what it's like to be a member, to be at the awards. Let's talk about your submission for this year, and I believe it's the one submission. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Hope. So I submitted it in Best Classical Contemporary Composition. And so Hope.
Tell us the story behind Hope.
Okay, so the story behind Hope. Basically, a couple of weeks. So I wrote this piece, and people are going to say, "Well, there's not much hopeful about what happens next." But I'll explain the full story. I wrote this piece a couple weeks before both my parents passed away last year, and oh no, I can feel tears coming now. Okay, so. Zen. So wrote this piece a couple weeks before both my parents passed away. They passed away 2 weeks apart. And basically, so my father's passing was very, very quick, very unexpected. I received a phone call, I think it was on a Thursday night or Thursday evening, from the hospital, telling me that my father was in the hospital, and he was having an internal hemorrhage, and he was in very, very bad shape, and that he wouldn't make it. I was, at that point, I was like, I couldn't believe that was going to be the phone call that everybody dreads. So basically, at that point, I was here in Florida. My husband was up in DC on a business trip, and we were trying to figure out how we're going to do this, because we're both going up there. We're basically dropping everything and going up there. So we have a dog, a Labrador Retriever, and I didn't want to leave him here. So I said, okay, we finally decided on, I was gonna, hop in the car with the dog, drive up to DC from Florida. My husband was gonna be there, pick up my husband, and then from DC, drive up to Quebec, which is where my parents were. They were actually they spent the final year of their life in the town where I was born.
Right. Okay, in Quebec. Okay.
Yeah, about an hour north of Quebec City.
Okay.
And so that's what we did. So I hop in the car, take the dog. It was basically like I think the next day or the day after the day or the evening I received the phone call. I was in the car, drove up to DC, picked up my husband, and then we both drove up to Quebec, where my parents were. And we arrived, it took us a couple of days to get to Quebec. We arrived there, I think it was on a Monday, in time to be there for my father in his final moments. And then I think the next day or a couple days later, I think it was a few days later, he passed away. And so obviously it was devastating. My mother was completely devastated, and at that point she was battling cancer and kidney failure.
Right.
So it was rough. I mean, it was really rough. And during the 2 weeks, I mean, I thought that maybe there might be a chance that my mom would pull through.
Yeah.
But the sorrow, her heartbreak and her sorrow was just too deep, because my parents had been married for more than 50 years, and they were inseparable. Yeah, they were inseparable. I mean, they literally could not live without each other.
Yeah.
So in the 2 weeks after my father passed away, I decided to play. So I had the first recordings of the piece that I had composed. Okay. And I decided to play that for to play the recording for my mother. And then we were talking about possible names for the composition. And then she said Hope. Hope. So, I was thinking maybe I'd name it Love, maybe Hope, maybe a few other names. And then she says Hope. And then a few days later, she passed away. And I mean, I'm convinced she passed away of heartbreak. I'm convinced that my mom, if my father was still here, I'm convinced that my mom would still be here today. Despite everything that she was battling, it was the heartbreak that, that did her in. So she names it Hope. And then after that, she passes away. I wasn't feeling very hopeful, that's for sure. But then 3 months after that entire tragedy happened, my husband and I found out that I was pregnant with our first child. So it's incredible. It's incredible how life works.
Wow. Yeah. So I'm not able to do the maths, but so are you still, child is born?
No, yes. Not yet.
So you're expecting. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
expecting a little girl in a couple of weeks. So I'm very
wow.
pregnant right now. Yeah.
And you're making time for this. Oh, you must be so tired. Okay. All right. Okay. No, thank you. Thank you.
Actually, I am. I mean, the fatigue is there for sure, but right now I'm more excited than tired.
Good. That's a beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I want to acknowledge that it is very difficult to share what you've just shared. And I completely get that. So thank you. It's special what you've gone through in many ways. And it's extraordinary that you've, come through that with a beautiful thing yet to, arrive in this world. And you're about to welcome your first child. So that's a fantastic, there's hope. There's so much hope. Yeah. And there's a lot of hope in your music itself, I must say. Like the whole journey, that 6.5 minutes of that track, it goes through so many things, and that beautiful, crescendo flourish at the end. It's absolutely magnificent. And I've heard it a couple of times with my eyes closed. And really wonderful. Really, really wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good on you. Mom and Dad will be very proud of you.
Thank you. Don't make me cry. Oh my goodness, yeah, it's been a hell of a year, but it's just, it's unbelievable how after a loss like that, life has a way of really coming at you like a high-speed freight train. And so it's so incredible that 3 months later, I was pregnant. My husband and I were expecting our first child. It was just, especially given the fact that we had been trying for a while, and it's incredible how life works. The destiny.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. That piece of music, it evolved. Like, it started out as I didn't know what was going to happen a few weeks after that. But that piece of music really evolved into something a lot more significant.
I can see that. No, it's beautiful. Oh, it's wonderful. Okay. And hopefully, your daughter, is that what you said? Yeah. Let's see at what age she takes to the piano. Maybe she can beat Mummy's record of 2.5 years.
There you go. There you go.
Oh, okay, that's great. No, thanks for sharing that. So hopefully hope does well and reaches far and wide and touches the hearts of people. It really deserves to. And
thank you.
I hope. I hope there's a wonderful, thing happening in the 4th of Feb for you on.
There you go. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sriram.
No, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. And tell me about your public performances, your live performances. Have you performed in Australia, New Zealand, down under?
Oh, no, not yet, but
no.
Hopefully one day. Hope. There's that word again. Hope. Hopefully one day.
I feel that all these wonderful emotions like love, respect, gratitude, all of them, I think they spring from hope. Hope is
absolutely.
Like so
absolutely
good. But coming back to Australia and New Zealand, look, we should have you here. I think you're an artist that
with pleasure, with great pleasure. My goodness.
And your travels haven't brought you here either. You haven't holidayed here.
No, not yet. It's funny. I've always wanted to discover down under. There's Australia, New Zealand, the islands. I've always wanted to discover it, but destiny has it that I haven't. Life has not brought me there yet. But
sure.
Maybe one day.
Sure. Now, if I'm to understand correct, you're currently doing a PhD in music in a certain. Is that right?
Yes, so music and musicology, studying the pianists of the Parisian Belle Epoque at the turn of the 20th century.
Wow.
And I've had a few how do you say, like, it hasn't been easy. I can tell you that much. It hasn't been easy, but I'm continuing. I'm pushing through. I'm continuing, and
My wife has done a PhD. It's a completely different topic, but she's done a bit of an intense topic of so she's passionate about women's health and young women's health. So her PhD was in dating violence. So
wow.
It was very intense.
Wow, that's
So reading her PhD was like whoa, a bit confronting, but it was important. And then after 6 years, it was very difficult for her, and it was difficult for me as well, I must, And then she turns around and says, "Yeah, no, I've got my PhD. By the way, don't do one." It's what she told me. So like,
it's not easy. It's tough, but oh my goodness, that the subject matter that your wife undertook is tough. That's rough.
Yeah, no, I think it's rough, but look, she's very passionate about that, and fair enough. And so funnily, I come at it from a completely different angle. I'm not into academia at all. So I actually wrote a book about that topic. It's yet to be published, but interesting. So you're academic. You're doing a PhD. I'm just going to say PhD in music. I don't know exactly what it is, so I won't say it. So
musicology. It's basically the history of music. Yeah.
History of music. So you're doing a PhD in the history of music. You're very passionate about human rights, correct?
Very passionate.
You're also
very passionate.
So you're an advocate of human rights. You're a published author. Tell us about these different hats that you wear, and how do you prioritize and balance with music?
Well, that is the big question, right? How to prioritize, how to balance it. And I think it's everything. It's like everything else. Yeah, it's like everything else in life. You just have to find your proper equilibrium and answer the call. Answer the call of what your soul needs to express and needs to put out into this world. And for me, that happens to be music and writing.
Wow,
Music and writing.
you sound very much like me, actually. So music and writing are my two, like they're just yeah, they're my babies. So
a life force,
a life force, 100%. And they take different shapes and forms. So obviously for me, with music, I like performance very much. I'm a bit of an exhibitionary. So I like sharing my music on stage. I love being on stage, but I also like the quiet of composing, recording, and creating something. Writing, be it novels or screenplays. So I wrote a screenplay last year.
Fantastic.
The movie buff, cinema buff, and so
I think we have a lot in common, Shidam, because oh my goodness, the movies. Oh, forget about it. I love movies.
So I love a good story, and I've just realized over life that there are various means to tell a story, a good story. Music is a story. So whenever I'm singing a song, I'm telling a story, and or if I write a book, I'm telling a story. So I speak as well. I'm an inspirational speaker. And every time I go on stage and I speak to an audience and inspire them, stories, that's what works like a charm. So anyway, I digress. Sorry, I was just very enthused by you saying music and writing. I was like, hey, that's exactly what I keep telling my wife, who has nothing to do with music. I mean, she's musical, mind you, but she doesn't like to exhibit. She's very private, very, very private. And but she supports my music. So
fantastic. Well, that's the important thing.
It's not easy for her, though, I must say. What about your husband? Is he musical or is he not related?
Yeah, he's very musical. He's not a musician, but he loves music. And I mean, I guess that's he was, we were drawn to each other. He absolutely loves music, and it's incredible. My husband has the capability of coming up with the most amazing, like he can come up with a melody and to a song. And he's so creative, like he's so imaginative. He just makes up these melodies, these choruses, which are really amazing. Like choruses to songs.
And he's not a musician because
he's not a musician, but he has this natural ability of coming up with lyrics and chorus, just perfect lyrics and perfect choruses.
Wow.
It's incredible. It's just incredible. Yeah.
That is very cool. Very cool. Oh my God, my wife doesn't do that. That's cool. Very cool. Mary, it was so nice to talk to you. And I'd love to talk more, and hopefully you'll stick around for some offline chat. We'll have a brief chat after.
Absolutely.
But from a podcast perspective, it brings us to the very last question.
Okay.
And you know what that last question is, in which it's just something we ask every guest, and a lot of time the answers are very different, which I find very fascinating. So according to Mary Dawood Catlin, what is one must-have or a non-negotiable for someone to become the next big thing?
Okay, so basically the next big thing, I think, no matter how the person defines the next big thing, I think that a person needs tenacity, a lot of tenacity, and the determination never to give up, which is basically tenacity.
The tenacity, determination to never give up. And I have to say this again, all of them come from one word: hope. Yes. Very nice. Go. Very good. No, very true. And I mean, look around us, right? Look at all the people who have done very well for themselves. And sure, I mean, when we say the next big thing, you raised a good point. It's from whose perspective? Like the world could say, oh, you're not the next big thing yet. But one could feel saying, look, I'm not going by your yardsticks, mate. For me, success is doing what I love. I'm successful. Thank you.
Go.
So So yeah, but tenacity, determination, no matter what, that relentless pursuit, you can see that across everyone who we consider to be successful.
Absolutely.
And so thank you.
Absolutely. It's so true.
Well put. And you have a lot of that. You've shown that you can push through adversity of all kinds. And good luck to you. I wish you the very best with hope. I am an advocate. I love that piece. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sam. Well, I mean, it's just such a pleasure to connect with you, and such a pleasure to be on this podcast. And I was a little bit nervous, I'll tell you that much.
Did so well.
Full disclosure, first podcast ever, and I've been nervous throughout the entire half an hour.
Well, it's a smashing debut.
There you go. But it's good nervousness. It's like, it's nervousness that it's not the bad kind. It's the good kind.
Yeah. I tell my 7-year-old daughter who's into dance, and she's already performing really well. I said, it shows you care, and so it's good.
Exactly. So thank you so much for inviting me on your wonderful podcast. And we'll connect, and we'll talk more about how to, connect with the other other members of the Academy and with the Indie Collaborative. And it's going to be wonderful.
Yes. Awesome. We'll chat soon. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Shida. Thank you.